This is Audiovisual Study Guide for Chapter 10 of Dana Harris's Introduction to Biblical Greek Grammar. We take the concepts that are listed at the end of the chapter and create slides so that you can review through audio and video and visuals each of those concepts that you need to master in order to understand the chapter. If there's something that you do not understand in this presentation, then you need to go back to the book and study it and review. So verbal root and tense stems. The verbal root is the most basic morpheme of a verb and is the basis of the various tense stems which are used to construct tense forms. The present tense stem or lexical form is never used to derive the aorist, future, or perfect stems ever. The verbal root is. The verbal root of gnosko is gno, not gnosk or gnosko. So you can see here the tree, the verbal root gno, then the branch out there to the present stem gnosko. Future stem gno, the aorist stem gno, and the perfect stem gno. So gno is the verbal root, and it also ends up being the stem for many of the tense forms. First, aorists and the use of tense formatives. A tense formative is a morpheme that is used to indicate a particular tense form for regular verbs. The aorist tense form uses sigma alpha or sa. Aorist tense forms are divided between first and second aorists. First aorists are called weak or regular aorists. There is no functional difference, but they are morphologically different, so they look different. The form is different. First aorist forms have tense stems that are identical or nearly identical to the present tense stems, such as luo. First aorist tense forms add the tense formative sigma alpha to the end of the aorist tense stem to indicate the aorist stem. So you get a tense stem that's nearly identical to the present, and then you've got sa sigma alpha added to make the aorist stem. So here's first aorist, you've got the augment epsilon, the aorist active tense stem is lu, aorist active or middle tense formative is sa, and then the secondary personal ending is nu, and you end up with the inflected form eluson. Liquid stems. So certain verbs are sometimes called liquid verbs because they have stems that end in one of the following consonants. So lambda, rho, mu, and nu. The aorist forms for liquid verbs can be understood as a subset of first aorists. The key factor in recognizing liquid aorist forms is that they have an alpha or epsilon in the third person singular rather than the omega or epsilon that we would see in an imperfect indicative. When you see an augmented tense stem and an alpha connecting vowel, then you probably have a liquid first aorist indicative. Second aorist forms have an aorist tense stem that is visibly different from the present tense stem. Lambano is lamban, but its aorist tense stem is lab. Because of the visible difference in the tense stems, no tense formative, sigma alpha sa, is needed to indicate the aorist form. As a result, a connecting vowel, epsilon or omicron, is needed. Principal parts. Principal parts are a shorthand method for recognizing Greek verbs based on the concept of verbal roots and tense stems. So principal parts are the least number of parts that you need to know to be able to recognize the entire paradigm for a given Greek verb. So here's each of the principal parts with what the form is. So the first principal part is the present active indicative first singular form. Second principal part, future active indicative first singular. Third principal part, aorist active indicative first singular. Fourth principal part, perfect active indicative first singular. Fifth principal part, perfect middle indicative first singular. Sixth principal part is aorist passive indicative first singular. And if you memorize those, then you should be able to figure out the rest of the paradigm or paradigms from those six principal parts. Right, morphological changes due to the addition of a sigma. So changes to stems when a sigma is added. So you've got labial, this is pi, beta, and theta. And when you get a sigma added to that, you end up with the ps sound because of the sigma being added, and so you end up with psi as the letter. Dental, you've got nu or tau. You've got delta, theta, and zeta. And whenever you get a sigma added to that, it becomes a sigma. The letters combine to become just a sigma. And you've got guttural. So you've got kappa, gamma, and the chi. And when those are combined with the sigma, you end up with a zeta sound. So what does this look like? Well, the present tense form blepo, whenever you add the sigma, it becomes eblepsa. Eblepsa. Grapho becomes egrapsa. Huparco becomes huperxamen. So this becomes fairly intuitive after a while, but it helps if you know this chart and get the feel for it. Perfective aspect. The aorist tense stem has a perfective aspect which views an action or event from an external summary perspective. This is like a photo versus the imperfective aspect, which gives an internal viewpoint, such as a running video. Again, this does not relate to time. It's more of a summary perspective, an external summary perspective viewing a photo of an event, and it could be past, present, or future. Morphological differences between imperfect and aorist indicative forms. So the imperfect indicative and aorist indicative, you need some help figuring them out. You can check out these two charts. So epsilon, you plus tense stem plus secondary endings, and you need to confirm that it's a secondary ending. You can ask, does this tense stem appear in the lexical form? If no, then you know it's going to be a second aorist, but you need to confirm that there's no sigma, right? Does this tense stem appear in the lexical form? If it's yes, and there's a sigma, then you've got a first aorist. If it's yes, but there is not a sigma, then it's imperfect. So let me run through the chart again. You've got the augment, epsilon, plus you've got a tense stem, and you've got a secondary ending. You need to ask, does this tense stem appear in the lexical form? If no, it's a different tense stem, then that means it's going to be a second aorist, but you should confirm, double check, look, and make sure there's no sigma. Does this tense stem appear in the lexical form? If it does, and there's a sigma, then you've got a first aorist. If it does and there's not a sigma, then you've got an imperfect. So here on the bottom chart, you can see epsilon augment plus tense stem plus saw transformative plus secondary endings, first aorist, epsilon plus a different looking tense stem, no sigma, plus secondary endings, you've got second aorist. That's it for this chapter. If you memorize the paradigms and you can parse and translate Greek sentences that use these concepts, then you have mastered the chapter.